Black Scully on check. Got a little Nike themed Don Julio shirt on check. Welcome to another marvelous episode. Sorry, my countdown was supposed to be there, but I did some cleaning on my computer today. I was a little bit reckless in my cleaning on my computer, so I got rid of some stuff that I shouldn't have got rid of. That's why you just saw a black screen there. But welcome to another marvelous episode. On today's docket, we're going to talk about quite a bit. I love what we're going to talk about today. For our Into the News segment, we're going to talk about the deal that ESPN and CW just landed that gets, ACC, Pac-12, Mountain West contact on the ESPN app. I think that is major. Nick Saban says college football offenses are going back to the run. Joyless murder ball is coming back. I agree, but I don't agree 100%. I tell you when I agree, and it's kind of very similar to the NBA playoffs and NFL playoffs. The NCAA 5-for-5 eligibility proposal is moving forward. I think this is great for college football. It seems to be like one of the few things that the NCAA actually care about, other than gambling, of course, is eligibility and the fact that these players are at that, point where, they're 26, 27 years old. Shout out to Postgame. Postgame is in here every episode. Shout out to my dog, Postgame. But yes, I think this 5-year thing, you get 5 years no matter what you do with it. Red shirt, medical red shirt, 5-for-5. I'm loving it. Lane Kiffin, he wants the spring portal window back. I bet you every coach that's in their first year in their situation will love to have the spring portal on it. And it's interesting because it was kind of an agreement of everything that I saw, last year. I see Lance Leopold and Kenny Dillingham both say, we just want the spring portal gone. But, some coaches who are dealing with situations, look at Texas Tech situation. They could have certainly benefited, from a spring portal to figure out, what's going to happen at quarterback with them because the future is unknown, right? Lane Kiffin, a lot of these first-year head coaches want a spring portal for sure. Texas Tech, they got a lot of weight with this $5 million they got going to Sorsby. Of course, he just entered rehab for gambling addiction. I think that's going to be real interesting. Also, on our Governor React segment, we want to talk about Greg McElroy's top 10 quarterbacks heading into 2026. Of course, there's some places I agree, and even the places that I disagree. I respect Greg McElroy so much. He's a friend of the network. If you don't know, we've interviewed him at Big 12 Media Days last year. We will be interviewing him again this year at Big 12 Media Days. So shout out to Greg McElroy. Anytime he does anything, I respect it 100%, even when I disagree. And also, CBS Sports has posted their post-spring top 25. This is the post-spring top 25 season, and we're reacting to all of them. Of course, I'm not going to like every one of them. I think this one is better than USA Today's. USA Today top 25 was an absolute joke, and I feel even better about saying that now. And then ESPN did a really good piece on 25 under the radar players heading into 2026. So we'll react to that. I'll let you know what they said, and then of course I'll give a few of my own. Governor College Football, hashtag go CFB. CFB Nation, your only college football destination. Let's get it. And of course, I deleted my intro and cleaning up my computer, so my intro didn't even come on. So you guys going to see an intro-less show today. I'll make sure I have that back for you for our Friday episode. If you don't know, our show is live Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Love talking college football. If you don't know who I am and this is your first time ever seeing the show, I am the CEO of College Football Nation, the CFB Nation. Of course, with my partners, of course, and we are credentialed members of the media. We travel to games during the fall, during the summers where I feel like we do our best work at media day events. We went to 3 last year, want to go to 6 this year. That's who I am. So let's get to our Into the News segment. And this segment is always for those who kind of alrighty, been at work all day. What's been happening in college football? The governor got you, of course. So ESPN and CW, they've reached a deal. And the CW sports content will be available on the ESPN app through its unlimited service. I remember when the ACC first announced they were partnering with the CW. I wasn't sure how to feel about it at first, but after seeing a season or two of it, I'm like, okay, I'm cool with it. The Pac-12, Mountain West are also partnering with the CW. I think this is great. I think college football is big business. I've been saying that for a while, and I feel strongly about that. College football really is big business, and I've always kind of had this arrogance that I always thought that college football is better than the NFL, but when it comes to ESPN and other major networks, whether it's Fox Sports or other networks, they put so much time and investments into the NBA, so much time and investment into the NFL when college football is feeding families. There's no paywalls, there's no subscription services. Here you go. We're giving you guys a plethora of games all day on Saturday, but I don't feel like that investment is met. We still don't have a main stage ESPN college football show that is on daily. And you have all these plethora of shows that they have on the internet. That's cool. They have on, whether it's ESPN or you or other, platforms that they have within the family of networks. We still don't have a main show, right? And we know that College Game Day is the staple of college football programming. But we only get that once a week. We need everyday content on these networks. These networks that provide college football invest in college football. It is the future. I promise you, it's the future. I think fans are getting a little sick of the NBA. The NFL is well and plentiful, and I believe that the NFL is the ultimate casual sport. Support your team. It's not much to keep up with. It's not a lot of moving pieces. Yeah, throwing free agency and the draft, fans get excited. But with college football, it's ever-changing. College football feeds families. Invest in it. I promise you, it'll be okay. Shout out to CW, shout out to ESPN for getting that done. ESPN VP Nick Dawson, we're just kind of trying to make ESPN and ESPN app the front door for sports fans. How many people still have cable in their home? That's the question I would like to have. Fun fact, I have it in my home. It's included with my rent. It's not plugged up. I use the apps whenever I want to watch college football, and I'm always on the road. My guy World of Moon is in the building. Shout out to World of Moon. If you don't know who CFB Moon is, I can't wait for his show to come back. The most polished show on our platform, in my opinion. And I'm sorry, I'm reading a text message. My dad is a casual. It was an A or B type of thing, and he just answered it in such a casual way. So I think it's amazing what they're trying to do. I think ESPN does understand that many people are going away from cable. Any great aspects of cable, because what you do, I'm going to get the internet right. I'm going to make sure I got my Ethernet set up. I'm going to play my video games or whatever, and then we'll stream whatever we want to watch, right? I think that's what a lot of people are going to. Pac-12 extended this partnership with the CW through the 2031 season. I'm so excited for the Pac-12, and I know a couple of things that we have set in stone. I know we're going to Big 12 Media Days. I know we're going to the American Media Days. I know we're going to ACC Media Days. If we don't get to the Pac-12 Media Days this year, I'm going to be ready to fight somebody. I'm just going to put that out there right now. We have to go to Pac-12 Media Days. The fact that they arise from the dead, they up out of the casket like the Undertaker, I'm super excited for that. So shout out to them for that. So love the deal, not mad at all. Nick Saban predicts college football offenses are going back to the run. And this is where I said in the cold open that, hey, I kind of agree with them, but in some ways I don't agree with them. I don't agree with them because I think the rules are set up for the passing to be elite. And I think this is more so, I don't know if this is more like Alabama oriented because their inability to run the ball, but I think the closer you get to the playoffs, that's where you see the game kind of slows down. When you're playing Circuit City University, you're going to get, you're going to see teams put up points in bunches. But, as we get closer to the college football playoff and people are fighting for ranking and trying to make their conference championship, yes, the game will slow down. And I believe you're going to see teams run the ball more, like especially in the playoffs. Like, who doesn't want to possess the ball? Who doesn't want to win that time possession 2-1, right? Who does not want to do that? So I agree with Nick Saban in that facet, but trust and believe. The pass game is going nowhere. But the way Nick Saban and his teams were able to run the ball, their run game became explosive, almost like a pass game. Yes, they controlled the time clock, of course, but some of these explosive running backs that they were able to have in their backfield were able to just get yards and punches. So yes, I do agree with them that when you get to the playoff, you better be able to play defense. You better have the ability to protect the ball, and you need to be able to possess the ball. I think that is super important. So I do agree with Nick Saban. So the joyless murder ball offense that he had in the late 2000s. It's difficult to beat. They're going to play stout defense. They're going to punch you in the face offensively and defensively, and you was just going to deal with it, right? So, I don't think Saban is wrong at all, but trust and believe the passing game is live and well. The NCAA 5-for-5 eligibility rule, Shane Beamer weighs in on it. I think it's a great idea. I think, don't get me wrong here, I think Dabo Swinney might have been the first person I heard talk about the 5-for-5 rule. Hey, just give these kids 5 years. Whether it's a medical red shirt or you didn't see the field, type of red shirt, it is what it is at the end of the day. And I truly think that's, I think that's the best rule because, we're past the years of the COVID, all right, here, everybody gets a COVID year eligibility thing, and you got, medical red shirts and all that. Just give these kids 5 years. We don't care how it makes it out. We don't care how you pan it out. What we don't want is 24, 25, 26-year-old grown men, who should be in the NFL playing against 17 and 18-year-olds. Because trust and believe, there are 17-year-olds on Ryan Williams. First year, Tuscaloosa, he was 17 for the better part of the season. So I'm 100% on this 5-for-5 eligibility rule. I feel like these last 2 years have been a great deal of change. I feel a lot of it has been the government involvement where the NCAA wants to really get on top of their, you know what I'm saying, excuse my French. But yes, the 5-for-5 rule, they get 5 years. And then this is what Shane Beamer said on The Impact. He said you have guys that, you know, right now that think they don't have another year, but they do have another year. There'll be a lot of guys strategizing in regards to recruiting portal needs and how many guys you're planning on taking. So I think it is imperative for us to go to this 5-for-5. You get 5 years. However you slice it, is however you slice it. All right, so for our fourth story of our Into the News segment, Lane Kiffin wants the spring portal back. It's funny, like I was saying in the cold open, that last year it was like one of those things where every coach seemed to be on the same thing. Like, we don't. All right, like one portal window is messy enough, but then you got kids who come here in the winter, like start their spring semester here, and then in the middle of it, after this semester is over with, I'm gonna go back to my school, right? Proctor, Caden Proctor's one of those guys who you know went to Iowa City for the better part of a couple of months and then ended up back in Tuscaloosa. So I think it's dangerous to have the spring portal back. I thought that the NCAA and these coaches got this thing right. One transfer portal window enough. I think what we're dealing with now is the ghost transfers. And then we saw that the government involvement with trying to stop these ghost transfers. And then the question I continue to ask everyone is, hey, who's going to enforce this, right? It's one thing to say, hey, this is a rule, right? Right? You know, my mom and my dad had rules when we was in the house. Hey, do your homework before you go outside, right? We couldn't go outside before our homework was done. But if they just said, hey, do your homework before you go outside, and they didn't follow up to make sure it was done, actually check to see if it was done, right? Or if they didn't follow up at all, we was just going to go outside, right? But you need somebody that's going to hold these things accountable. You need somebody that's going to follow up on this, right? So, yes, of course, every first-year head coach, you analyze the talent on your roster. You say, hey, we could really use a piece here. And it may not even be a significant piece. I like a little bit more depth at left guard, right? When we get to passing situations, I would like another stout nickelback, right? So of course he wants to, spring portal back. When I tell you LSU is talented, they're super talented in Baton Rouge. Make no mistake about it. So specifically advocating for first year coaches in your first year, yeah, I don't think many coaches would say that, but if you were honest, they'd probably say yes. So if a coach who isn't in his first year at a university, there's no way on God's green earth if they're not in their first year, gonna say no. We need a spring window only for first year head coaches. No, you decided to leave, right? And I was with you leaving. I understand it that the resources began to be plentiful in Oxford. The resources have been plentiful in Baton Rouge for a very long time. So I was with them leaving, but at the end of the day, deal with it. You get the spring portal window. You was able to take some players from your old team. Deal with it, coach. Coach is coach, right? Get the job done, right? He landed 40 portal commitments, $40 million roster, brother. You don't need a spring. You being greedy. You don't need a spring portal window. So I say absolutely not. That'll be my answer to that. So Texas Tech, they have some things to weigh. They got Sorsby $5 million deal. NCAA are examining the gambling wagers. He already admitted. He admitted that I have a problem. Let me throw myself at the mercy of the court and go get help for it. And I think that's one of the things that they're like, okay, well, we know a suspension is coming. It's how long is he suspended? Is he suspended for the duration of the 2026 college football season? That will be devastating for the fans down in Lubbock. Well, absolutely devastating, right? When we start to really think about it. Of course, they got Will Hammond in their backup, but is he going to be ready week 1, week 2? We don't know. We really don't. He's coming off an ACL injury. But, when you look at this, and you look at the money that's being invested, and you say to yourself, all right, well, I know they have a rule for ghost transfers. Are they really going to enforce it? Right. That's what a lot of people start saying. Dylan Raiola, is he going to all of a sudden, just leave Eugene and end up in Lubbock? That's what they saying on the internet, on Twitter. And I love looking at Twitter and seeing what they're going to end up saying. But what happens with this situation? If he is banned and not allowed to play for the 2026 season, does Texas Tech have the right to, hey, man, give us our money back? We didn't tell you to gamble. We gave you the money to play football. We didn't give you the money to gamble, right? Of course, that's how they're going to feel. Of course, they're going to support him, give him that vote of confidence. But at the end of the day, there is some things to think about, right? This situation is bad. I just came to laugh. Arch is stale. Hey, shout out to Al Rugador, that's cool. Here's my thing, and here's what I say about that. You may not agree with the take that I have, but what you do need to understand is that the research is done, the work is done. You may not like Arch Manning, that's cool, but if you go back last year and look at his stats, he had a good year. Struggled at the beginning of the season, had a real good end of the year. But here's my thing. I may not agree with somebody's take, but I will always listen to try to understand a person's take. But just to, come here and laugh, that's cool. You want to troll? Hey, I'm cool with it. Troll all you like. But who you think is the best quarterback in college football? That's what I'll ask. Put that in the chat, right? That's all I got to say about that. But let's move on. Let's get into Greg. We're going to go into Governor Reacts. Let's get into Greg McElroy's top 10 QBs. We'll go over his list, and then I'll give you guys my top 10 QBs, and I'll give you the reasons why I have my top 10 QBs. This is what I will say. Shout out to Greg McElroy. He's a friend of the network, friend of CFB Nation. I said this in the cold open. We interviewed him last year at Big 12 Media Days. Look forward to interviewing him again at Big 12 Media Days. And we get to talk to a lot of great people, not just players, not just coaches. We also get to talk to the people that do this professionally, right? At the highest level. So I always enjoy talking to him, and I always enjoy reacting to what Greg McElroy puts out because I know that the work is done. I absolutely know that the work is done, and that's important to me. So we're going to look at his list. I think his list is kind of based on what he saw last year heading into the year. I think my list is more predictive on looking at the roster construction and just looking at the talent, right? So number one, he had Julian Sands, 77% completion percentage. Kid played lights out last year. 3,600 yards, 32 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. I think my only thing with Ohio State was last year they were just beating the hell out of teams early in the season. So you didn't really get an opportunity to see, how well this team could play when they were in that deep water, right? In a conference championship against Indiana, when it's like, whoa, this thing is close, right? They didn't have a lot of those games where he just absolutely had to go win. Maybe Texas was the exception, but Matt Patricia had that defense playing so well, it's even hard to mention that game. So Julian Sand is number one on his list, and I'll get to my list soon. But Julian Sand is definitely on the list, but he's not there. Dante Moore is number two on the list, and McElroy said these are interchangeable. 70% completion percentage, over 3,600 yards, 30 touchdowns. Dante Moore had a stellar season last year. I think if he'd have entered the draft, he'd have been quarterback number 2 in the draft. And depending on how well he performed in the combine and all of that, I'm not sure if he could have pushed for one. But let me say this. I believe that every year there's a guy who probably should have went to the draft the year before, and that next year things just don't go right? We got a few players that we can mention for this. Drew Aller is a guy that we can mention who kind of suffered from coming back. Maybe a Cade Klubnik is another guy who suffered and should have came back. Spencer Rattler a few years ago is a guy that probably should have went the year before, came back, and actually had to end up going to college another year. Dante Moore lost his offense coordinator, right? Will Stein, who's at Kentucky now. I'm just interested to see how he plays this year. So my list is more predictive, while Greg McElroy's, I think, is solely based on last year. He has Arch Manning number 3, 3,100 yards for Arch the season ago, 26 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 400 yards rush. I don't think he ran the ball enough last year. His grandpa even said run the ball a little bit more. I have Arch number 1. And to me, Arch is number 1, and this is predictive. It's because what Texas was able to do during the transfer portal period. Last year, they couldn't run the rock at all, and wasn't the backs that they had in the backfield, the offensive line just couldn't open up holes for their running back. Well, now they got, Raleigh Brown, they got Hollywood Smothers, right? You add Cam Coleman, a guy who hasn't had, to me, an elite guy at the helm in his entire collegiate career. Whether it was, Ashford or Peyton Thorne or Jackson Arnold, he hasn't had a competent guy, so you put him on his team, you put him opposite a Wingo. I think this team is going to be scary. I don't think Steve Sarkisian did his best play calling early in the year last year. Arch Manning didn't do his best playing. But if you watch college football and you don't skim through it, and you're not one of these guys, Arch Manning's going to be here, then when he plays here, now all of a sudden he ain't that great, right? Don't do that. Don't do that. Actually watch the games. Do you watch college football or do you just skim through it? That's the question I got to ask. We at the games. I'm watching this every weekend. Don't give a damn if it's week 0. I'm watching that. Don't give a damn if it's Army-Navy week. I'm watching the games week in and week out. And what I'm telling you is, what Arch Manning did in the second half of that Lone Star Showdown and what he did in the bowl game, if you didn't watch those games, don't talk to me about Arch Manning. Don't. I don't got time for it. I don't want to hear it. Trust and believe. I don't want to hear it. Don't give a damn about it. Arch Manning will be the best quarterback in college football next season. It's the people around him. I think you're going to see Steve Sarkisian call a much better game. And he has a bona fide number one wide receiver in Cam Coleman. And right now, everybody thinks Jeremiah Smith, and he should be, is clearly the wide receiver number one heading into 2027. When you see Cam Coleman close the gap after this season, don't say nothing to me. Don't say Nathaniel to me. And that's how I feel about it. Number 4, McElroy had Jane Maiava. This right here is kudos to Lincoln Riley and what he's been able to do with Maiava. And the thing that surprised me most about USC is their ability to win it at the point of a tie. Their ability to run the ball last year was amazing. Of course, they lost 2 studs at wide receivers, and I'm interested to see what that looks like this year, but they're returning a lot of starters from last season. And, return of production was one of my favorite metrics until that just got dispelled because the transfer portal is so crazy now. But I love the fact he has Jaden Maiava so high on this list. I really do love it. CJ Carr, number 5, my boy Jalen. Shout out to Jalen Wilson, my co-host on the show that we do called College Football Showdown. He thinks CJ Carr is QB1 heading into the next year's draft. And I love it. 24 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 10 straight wins after an 0-2 start. You got to shout to CJ Carr. And believe it or not, he got one of the best play callers in the country. Mike Denbrock, year 1, focused on the run. He said, I got great defense, let's focus on the run. Year 2, he had a guy, quarterback that he trusts. He opened up the playbook a little bit more. And this is Aeneas Williams, I think, is going to do great for Notre Dame. But when you see that Mike Denbrock put the ball in his hands, it ain't going to be like the LSU attack that we seen when Mike Denbrock was the offensive coordinator when Jaden Daniels was there. But I'm telling you, CJ Carr numbers is going up. Buy into CJ Carr stock now. I'm telling you, numbers are going up. Number 6 on McElroy's list, Trinidad Chambliss. I thought Trinidad Chambliss was low. I really thought it was low. Think about it. Last year, maybe outside of the folks in Oxford and the people who was at the Division II school he went to, not many people knew who Trinidad Chambliss was. This was supposed to be Austin Simmons' year. Think about what the PR team was doing at Ole Miss for Austin Simmons, and then you see this guy say, hey, I kind of like this guy. And I'm talking to Moon about him. I'm talking to Nino about him. I'm talking to D-Now about him. I'm talking to Boomer about him. I think Trinidad Chambliss is way low on this list. At 6, I love the fact he's on the list, but I know people think, and with Weiss gone, their play calling Lane Kiffin gone, but to me, there wasn't much of a drop-off. Of course, his coordinator was there throughout the duration of the playoffs, but I think Trinidad Chambliss should be higher on this list. And then I'll give you my list on Darian Mensah. Why is he so low? He's going to Miami. He's playing with Malachi Tony. Dawson's his offense coordinator. Cooper Parquet followed him there. Mark Fletcher's still there, the running back. Why is he so low on this list, Greg? I just have a question. 34 touchdowns, just shy of 4,000 yards at Duke. Whether you like it or not, you say it's 5 losses, I don't give a damn. Won the ACC championship last year. They won the ACC last year, right? Darian Mensah, with the talent around him in Miami, I'm telling you, this Miami team is going to be real deal. Number 8, McElroy had Brendan Sorsby. Of course, I think his ranking now is kind of, we don't know what's going to happen. I do think a suspension is coming. We just don't know how long the suspension is coming for, right? I think that's just how we feel about it at the end. Gunnar Stockton is number 9. I like Gunnar Stockton, right? I think Gunnar Stockton is a victim of being in an offense that isn't a quarterback-friendly offense. It's not a quarterback. Mike Bobo isn't going to wow you with what he does. Wide receivers don't even run every route in a route tree, right? Because they know they have a stout defense. They know what they're going to do on the defensive side of the ball, right? They absolutely know it. And then there were times last year, Gunnar Stockton was absolute money. I think about the Tennessee game when Tennessee came out and scored 3 straight touchdowns, right? I say, holy crap. Tennessee is for real. I doubted Tennessee because I didn't think Joey Aguilar played as well as he played. But yes, that game, the Ole Miss game, when Trinidad Chambliss, who we were talking about a little bit earlier, went down into Athens and gave them everything that they can handle. Gave them absolutely everything that they can handle. So Gunnar Stockton making McElroy's list, I love. He's not on my list, just outside of my top 10. But I'm not mad at it at all. And DeMond Williams Jr. from Washington, I'm interested to see how things go. Lost his running back in Jonah Coleman, lost his wide receiver Denzel Boston. I lost a lot of pieces. And he also kind of wanted to enter the transfer portal. I know we don't talk about it now because Washington said, I wish it would. And then that didn't happen when they was threatening to sue him. And he ended up coming back. So I think DeMond Williams Jr. is an elite quarterback. I actually seen him play in person when I went to the Maryland and Washington game last year. A game that Maryland had, but they found a way to lose. So that's McElroy's top 10 list. We'll go over it one more time, then I'll give you my top 10 list. He has at 1, Julian Sand at 2, Dante Moore at 3, Arch Manning 4, Jaden Ma'ava at 5, CJ Carr at 6, Trinidad Chambliss at 7, Darian Mensah at 8, Brendan Sorsby at 9, Gunnar Stockton at 10, Damon Williams Jr. My top 10, I have Arch Manning at 1, only because the talent that's around him. Now we're going to start looking at Steve Sarkisian like, get the damn job done. Get the damn job done as a coordinator. That offensive line, they need to block their ass off. They really do. And then Will Muschamp at defensive coordinator. I like Texas. We've seen teams just out-physical them. Georgia's one of the teams that I think about when I watched them last year. But I think Arch Manning is tired of hearing a lot of this hate that he gets. And the man, the media cartel is to blame for the hate that he gets. But I can't wait till he shuts so many people up. And best believe Al Rugador, however you say your goddamn name, I'm coming to look for you. Know that. I got Trinidad Chambliss at number 2. The poise that this kid has, his ability to make plays, to stay with it. I feel like no lead is too large. I feel like he wants to score just like every quarterback does, every possession. But to me, I like what Trinidad Chambliss brings to the table. Very similar system, even though some players are gone. Keywan Lacey, one of the best running backs in the country, for my money, the best running back in the country. McElroy had him at 6. I have him at number 2. Darian Mensah is my number 3 quarterback. I just think of what you see what this kid did in the trajectory, what he did at Tulane, what he did at Duke. He instantly makes your team better. And to me, he's a much better quarterback than Carson Beck. And then the weapons he's going to have down in Miami, and then that offense that Shannon Dawson runs, to me, the stock is up for him. At 4, I have Julian Sand. I really like what Julian Sand did last year. Everything was comfortable for him. The completion percentage, the wide receiver core is still there. Arthur Smith is offensive coordinator. They're definitely going to have the ability to run the ball and then build that play action. That's what Arthur Smith is really great at. So I think he's going to be stellar this year. How you playing close games for me is what matter. Also, Josh Hoover isn't on this list. I don't know why. He isn't on either of our lists. And I had Josh Hoover in my top 10 list last year, too. That's kind of weird. CJ Carr's number 5. Year 2, I think Mike Denbrock is going to put a lot more on his shoulder, so I think the stats are going to immediately go up. Jaden Ma'ava at number 6. Year 2.5, really in Riley's system. The pieces are there. I like what they build. And USC is going to be dangerous this year in the Big Ten. I truly do believe that. Dante Moore at 7. Like I said, every year there's a guy that falls. I hope I'm wrong about Dante Moore, but every year there's a guy that falls. And some of the pieces that they lost, he's also getting some pieces back. But at offensive coordinator, I'm just trying to see how quickly they get together. But I do trust Dan Lanning. All he's done since he's been in the Big Ten, he's won a lot of ball games. Haven't quite figured it out in the playoffs, but at some point they will figure it out. And number 8, I got Connor Wegman. I've been high on Connor Wegman. If you've been watching this show this year, you know that I believe that Connor Wegman is going to do nothing but put up numbers in Houston this year. Got Mekhi Hughes, a guy that's going to have a huge chip on the shoulder after just not barely sniffing the field in Eugene a season ago. So, with Willie Fritz as head coach, with the pieces that he has around him, look out for Connor Wegman. He had 25 touchdowns a year ago. He can really run the rock, and I don't even think he ran the rock enough. So I'm interested to see how Houston utilizes him this year. Drew Metzemaker has to be on this list. Him and Eric Morris just got this dynamic thing. And think about it going into the year last year. You thought Puffenberg was going to be the starting quarterback for North Texas. Metzemaker got the job, and he's impressive. And then Byron Brown, a lot of people's not going to like this one. They're not going to like it. Oh, he looked terrible in the spring. Don't worry about it. Trust me when I tell you that the veer shoot kills defenses in the SEC, it does. So, yes. So, my main disagreements with McElroy is Chambliss was low at 6. Mensah kind of low at 7. And I thought Moore was too high because every year we see a guy that just falls. Like, damn, I wonder what happened. Damn, if he'd went to the draft last year, he'd have went higher than he's going to end up going this year. So up next, we're going to react to CBS Sports post-spring top 25. Let's get into it. All right, it's been a fun show today, man. Thank you for everybody that's watching. If you don't know who I am, my name is KT. That's what everybody call me. I go by Lever KT. The name of my show is Governor of College Football, so that's what I go by. Part CEO of College Football Nation. We are credentialed members of the media, and we there. We everywhere. I promise you everywhere. So if you stick with us, follow us over at the CFB Nation. We have a lot more subscribers over there. And we get active. We in the field. We outside. I promise you we outside. Like Jadakiss said during the battle with Dipset, we outside. I promise you we are outside. We everywhere. So CBS, they're dropping their post-spring top 25. And I tell you what, I was so mad at USA Today. Such a reputable source. Such a reputable source to have Florida State in your top 25 is abysmal. Did you only poll people in Tallahassee? That was bad. That was really bad, and that was disappointing in them, to say the least. But maybe they know something I don't know. So CBS Sports dropped their top 25, and this top 25 is after the Sorsby news, so they dropped Texas Tech lower than what they would have ended up being. So they had Texas at number 1. I'm not mad at this. I just talked to you about all the weapons that Texas had. Texas would be number 2 in my poll, but them at number 1 in the poll, I'm not mad at all, right? Yes, post game, I'll drop the link. Hey, Moon, can you do me a favor and drop the link to the other channel so they can subscribe in the comment jump? So yeah, Ohio State, number 2, not mad. You think about, what this team does year in, year out. They are the NFL factory in our sport. They just put players in the NFL. That's all they do. And their players are highly cerebral. They haven't, really like a lot of NFL-based concepts offensively and defensively. They have guys that been in the NFL a long time. Offensive coordinator Arthur Smith, defensive coordinator Matt Patricia. This team is an NFL factory. So yes, or Ohio State number 2. I'm not mad. I believe I had them at 3 in mind. Oregon at number 3 in CBS Sports top 25. I'm not mad at it. I get it. I get it. Evan Stewart is back. Dante Moore is back. Right? They depth that they have in the quarterback room. I'm not mad at it at all. I think they're a little too high for my liking. They would be just outside the top 25 for me. Georgia at 4. I think 4 is right. Kirby is Kirby. We know what Georgia's going to do. My biggest concern is the wide receiver room. That's my biggest concern is the wide receiver room. Indiana is number 6 on this list. And I'm seeing Indiana somewhere around 5-6. As long as Kirk Cincinnati is their head coach, the pieces that they were able to get in the portal, they should be the number 1 team in the country until proven otherwise. 16-0. In this era of college football, they won 16-0 in the Big Ten. This era of college football, they won 16-0. And oh, by the way, they low boyed Alabama during that time. They should be the number 1 team in the country until proven otherwise. Like, why aren't we putting them number 1? It just doesn't make sense to me. The disrespect for Indiana just is unreal, bro. I promise you it's unreal. Yeah, so Moon should be getting that for you now post-game. If he doesn't, I'll be able to post it in there shortly. Miami at number 7. I think Miami at number 7 is fair. I just talked to you about how great Darian Mensah is. Cooper Barkate following him to Miami. Malachi Tony on the outside. Mark Fletcher at running back. Shannon Dawson's going to have a ball with this team offensively. They are going to put up points in bunches. They really are. Texas A&M at number 8. Can't be mad at it. Love what they have to offer. Marcel Reed, I think, has gotten incrementally better year in and year out. I can't wait to see what he looks like this year with their new offensive coordinator. They're going to be defensive-centric. We know that about this team. We truly do know that about this team. Coming at number 9, LSU. That's who they have for the CBS Sports. I think I have them as a top 18, but the $40 million roster, yes, of course, they're a top 10 team in college football. That one is easy. Oklahoma at number 10. The thing that's been impressive about Oklahoma is their defense these last couple of years. Brent Venables has had this team playing lights out. Even in a down year in 2024, like that defense was legit. That defense was absolutely legit. And so when you think about the fact that Ben Arbuckle and John Mateer didn't hit the ground running the way we expected them to, but they had the ability to get used to it. John Mateer's going to be healthy this year. If this offense can be lights out, look out. And I think Satinian is going to have a big year for them, by the way. Texas Tech is at number 11. They dropped. The reason why they dropped, of course, we're not sure what's going to happen at quarterback. We thinking Will Hammond may be the starter. Not sure if the NCAA is going to suspend Brendan Sorsby. I think they will. I think they will. And I think he should be suspended, to be honest with you. Yeah, you can't be a collegiate athlete and gambler, but part of that onus is on the NCAA. Let's be 100% real about it. We got to be real about it, right? So, I'm not mad at Texas Tech at 11. USC at number 12. I love USC. I think in many cases I am a USC stan. I'm going to just call a spade a spade. I think USC is such a good team. I think Lincoln Riley is so underrated as a play caller. To me, it's kind of embarrassing the way that he's disrespected. I'm not going to lie to you. And I'm going to go ahead and put this link in the chat for you guys. And I'm going to also put the website link in here too. Oh, it didn't. For some reason, it didn't paste. I'm trying to get that for y'all. Maybe I didn't copy it. I thought I did, though. Here it goes. So, yeah, that's the main website. That was the main YouTube that we're on. That's the CFB Nation one. And then I'll give you guys the... and we're live there every Monday. And during the football season, it's every Monday and Thursday, the CFBNation.com. And then this is the website. And Moon, CFB Moon, who you guys seen posting it here early, he does an amazing job with the website. All right, let me get back to my notes. So, yeah, USC at 12, I'm not mad at it. I think they're one of the top teams in returning starters from a season ago. And you add Gary Patterson to the mix as their defensive coordinator. And I love D'Anton Lynn as a defensive coordinator. Make no mistake about it, but I think USC is real deal. All right, coming at number 13, we got Ole Miss. Trinidad Chambliss is back. Pete Golden, I think, did an outstanding job as a head coach in the playoffs. And they were able to lure Luke Farrelly from Clemson. We're not going to talk about the ways that they did it, but I believe they're a couple spots too low. I love what Ole Miss brings to the table, and I think it'll be naive to think that there'll be a fall off. Of course, they lost their offensive coordinator, Charlie Weiss Jr. Of course, they lost their head coach in Lane Kiffin. But I have the belief after seeing what I saw. Trust me, I do. So, yeah, those links are in there. So go ahead and subscribe, and then make sure you guys have that website there. A lot of good information on that website. Trust and believe. Alabama at number 14. I'm not mad at it. The only question I have about Alabama, of course, everybody's talking about the quarterback competition between Austin Mack and Keelan Russell. I believe, though, in my hearts of hearts, that Keelan Russell, hey, appreciate that post game. My hearts of hearts, I do believe that Keelan Russell will be the starter. But are they going to have the ability to run the ball? That is my biggest question for Alabama, right? Because we know Ryan Grubb can scheme with the best of them, but last year, their inability to run the ball cost them in a lot of games. Michigan at 15, of course, Kyle Whittingham is there as their head coach. Underwood, are we going to see him make the jump? Did not like what I saw from him during their spring game and much of the spring season, but they'll correct it. A lot of that stuff is very vanilla, so I'll try my best not to overreact to what I see, but I'm a little worried about it. Tennessee, I think, is a little too high, right? This McIntyre versus Brandon battle, and of course you got to throw Staub in there as well. You guys heard me say this on the show before. I think Faison Brandon would be the guy if I was that head coach, but my job isn't on the line, so yeah. And then Jim Knowles, defensive coordinator, is taking over for Tim Banks. It's not that he did a bad job last year at Penn State. It's just expectations versus reality. But I thought Tim Banks did an outstanding job, but Jim Knowles as your defensive coordinator doesn't get better than that. I think my thing is, when will he get frustrated with the offense? When, they have like a back-to-back 4-and-out or 3-and-out like that, that's going to frustrate him because it's an offense predicated on speed, and they're trying to score points in bunches. BYU at number 17. Of course, they lost their top three wide receivers, but Bear Backmeyer's back. I believe they're going to put much more on the shoulder for his sophomore campaign. LJ Martin is back, and I am excited for that. I'm very excited for that. Number 18 is Iowa. Y'all know what I'm going to say. As long as Kirk Ferentz is the head coach at Iowa, they will always be there in the thick of things. And if you do not have them in your top 25, you are a casual. You're a casual. Penn State shouldn't be in the top 25. Let them earn it, bro. We got to see how healthy Carson Beck. We got to see how healthy Rocco Beck is. It feel like it is the Penn State Cyclones in many ways. I don't think Matt Campbell was truly their guy at head coach, but I do love what Matt Campbell was able to do during his tenure in Ames. I just didn't think the resources were plentiful enough for him to do more at Iowa State. But I'm not mad at it overall. I'm not. Missouri at number 20. Austin Simmons going to be the guy at quarterback there. I believe Chip Lindsey is the OC there, so he's going to run the air raid and also a system that he should be familiar with, the speed, the tempo he should be familiar with as well. And hopefully this doesn't turn into a good luck Chuck thing for Austin Simmons where he goes somewhere and then the backup quarterback is just stellar, right? I think this kid is incredible, and I want him to win. I want all these kids to win, but I really want Austin Simmons to win. I really do. At 21, they have Washington. I'm not mad at it. As long as DeMond Williams Jr. is there, they're going to have a chance to win game. That fan base, one of the best fan bases in the sport. It's difficult to go to that Pacific Northwest and find a way to win and leave with a victory, right? It's difficult to do that. So, yes, Washington in your top 25, I'm not mad at it at all. And the same way I feel about Penn State is the same way I feel about Clemson. Clemson in the top 25, wait and see. Let's wait and see. Penn State in the top 25, let's wait and see. After the roster construction that they had a season ago, all the return of production that they had, right? Both of these teams to end the season the way that they ended it, I don't want neither team in the top 25. I think there are more deserving teams to be in the top 25. But I hope they're back. Chad Morris is the offensive coordinator. This is the second time that we've seen Dabo Swinney kind of scapegoating offensive coordinator. We've seen him do it with Brandon Streeter at the end of the 2023 or 2022, at the conclusion of the 2022 season maybe. And then we've seen him do it with Garrett Riley at the conclusion of the 2025 season. At what point is it your fault? At what point is the onus on you? I don't like seeing offensive coordinator scapegoated. Chad Morris was the offensive coordinator there, I think like 2011 through like 2014, something like that. I'm just interested to see how well that progressed. I'm interested to see it. Christopher Zena as a quarterback. We know that they're going to be stout defensively. They do have playmakers on the outside with Westco and Moore. So I do like the team, but I don't think they're a top 25 team. I think there are more deserving teams. Let them earn it. Let Penn State earn it. I know you look at them and you look at the allure and what they've done in the past, but college football is very much a what have you done for me lately sport. And it will continue to be a what have you done for me lately sport. It really will be. And I don't think that should ever change. Yesterday's paper is yesterday's paper. That don't got nothing to do with the paper that you get today. Florida at number 23. I think this is predictive. Some people's going to have an issue with this. They're going to say, well, Governor, you didn't like when you saw Florida State up there. You're not going to get mad when Florida's up there? No, I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad. I can see their reason. They say, hey, John Summerall's an outstanding coach. I don't think he's ever won fewer than 9 games. This guy wins everywhere he goes, right? We seen it at Troy, seen it at Tulane. Now he's at Florida. And the biggest question in Gainesville is who's at quarterback? Is it Aaron Philo or Tramel Jones? After I seen the spring season, I think it is Tramel Jones. This is a year for the Irish. Hey, I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it at all. I hope it is. I hope it is. I truly hope it is. I ain't mad at it at all. I hope it is. I like CJ Carr a lot. You guys lost your entire running back room. I think there's an increased focus by Marcus Freeman. So, yeah, if it's a year for Notre Dame, it should be. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't respect that if they're a top 12 team, they're automatically into the playoff. I don't like that. I don't like anybody having an unfair advantage. But, yes, the team good enough to win, yes. Mike Denbrock is just going to put a lot more on CJ Carr's shoulders. And I think that's what we're going to see 100%. Back to Florida. I'm not mad at Florida being in the top 25. I get it. I think that here's the key thing. I talked about the quarterback room. Aaron Philo versus Tramel Jones. Buster Faulkner brought Philo over, I think, with the idea that he knew how good Philo was. There were times where Georgia Tech community was talking about who's better, Aaron Philo or Haynes King. So to bring this kid over, it almost feels like, I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it. Almost feels like when Tommy Rees left Notre Dame, went to Tuscaloosa, Tyler Buckner left South Bend, went to Tuscaloosa. That's what this feels like. Because to me, you can't look at the upside of Tramel Jones at quarterback and say, wow, this kid isn't legit. And I love Aaron Philo. I love what he was able to do in mop-up duty and in games where Haynes King wasn't healthy. Because when I tell you, Brent Key Company ran that kid through the ground, they treated him like he was a running back. They ran him through the ground and treated him like he was a running back. But I love the upside of Tramel Jones. And I think John Summers going to prove the best overall quarterback. But to me, this got to... Don't worry about that, Gov. Irish will stay in the top 5 for the... If they do that post-game, I'm cool. If the Irish are better than 11th and they're like 10 for higher, I'm cool. Trust me, post-game, we cool. And at the end of the season, I give you a pound, dog. We cool if they're able to do that. Stay top 10, they cool. But if they're 11 for higher... Or 12, if they're at 12, then that means that 11 team is out because the G6 team has to get in. But yeah, we are cool. We're more than cool. So I love the upside of what Florida has to do. And I think there's a guy by the name of Dallas Wilson who we didn't get to see much of last year due to injury. He's going to be real deal. I like Buster Faulkner's system. I think with Summerall, he's going to have to open up the system a little bit more because Brent Key's an offensive lineman. And what do offensive linemen like to do? They like to run the ball, right? So I'm not mad at Florida being 23. I'm not mad at it. It doesn't upset me the way that Florida State being at 23 is. They favored in every game outside of Miami. Talk to him, Moon. Talk to me nicely, CFB Moon. I like it. I love it. All right. At number 24, Utah. Hey, man. Just because Kyle Whittingham is in Ann Arbor doesn't mean that things in Salt Lake City are going to fall apart. There's a reason why Kyle Whittingham left. He wanted Scaly to get his opportunity. He didn't want to overstay his welcome. Do you know the type of human being you have to be to do that? Hey, I still want to coach, but this guy has been an heir apparent. We knew he was going to be the heir apparent. Like, let him do his thing, right? And I I think Cal Whittingham is a special person. That's all I'm going to say. David Dapierre, we were at Big 12 Media Days last year, and we didn't get an opportunity to talk to David Dapierre. We will this year. Hella high water. I know CFB Moon's going to make it happen, and we'll get an opportunity to talk to him. I got to talk to him briefly. When I say briefly, I mean very briefly. I think I looked at him and said, "You ready for this year?" He dapped me up. He just had this infection, his energy, like he was walking around like, man, I'm the best quarterback in here. Like, that's how he was walking around. And that's why I love going to media days and going to these games, because you get a better feel than when you're on TV. And some of the things you see on the sideline at these games, Zachariah Branch, I predicted, and I wish I made a tweet about it, but I didn't want to be messy. I knew he was done at USC. And after I left that Maryland and USC game in 2024, Mike and Moore were with me. I told them, and then I told the rest of the gang, I'm like, yo, Zachariah Branch won't be here next season. And lo and behold, he ended up entering the portal. There's just things you see, like, you know, during the TV timeout while you guys are filling up your beer, getting your next beer, next drink, getting you some more wings or whatever you eat when you're watching college football. On the field, there's 3 minutes of madness going. And certain teams don't like you when you're too close on the sidelines. So what I do, I probably shouldn't say this aloud, but I'm going to say it anyway. I don't care. Is during that time period, I walk the away sidelines. And when you walk the away sidelines, they're a lot more friendlier, because they like, we away, this ain't our stadium, we'll give a damn what you do. And sometimes I'll have my camera, right? And I'm like, damn, I'll pan the sidelines, and you just see stuff, right? And you can see when the offense coordinator or the head coach is talking with the players, who's engaged and who isn't engaged. And that's why I like going to the games. But shout out to Utah, top 25. And then they have they have SMU at 25. I'm not mad at it. I get it. But I think there are some ACC teams you could pick. NC State. Everybody do me a favor. You said my bad. Oh, no, you good, bro. Everybody do me a favor and go look at NC State schedule. Go look at NC State schedule. Matter of fact, you know what? This is live. I don't care. I'm going to screenshot the schedule for you. And I think Houston is a top 25 team. You all know that. But we're going to do this. I'm going to find their schedule. I'm going to screenshot it, and I'm going to bring it up in here so you guys can see this. Because how many games you think they're going to win this year? Because me and the gang was looking at this, and I think they won week one game. I love Bo Pabula, but and he's at UVA now. But I think UVA won. I'm sorry. Whoa, what the hell is that? They hating on me, huh? What's going on here? All right. Thank you, Moon. ACC blessed NC State. So we're going to pull their schedule up. This is live. I love the live element. I got an image here. Let me bring an image here. We're gonna do this live because I need everybody to see NC State schedule. So my apologies. Got to do some adjusting here. This is NC State schedule. Put this to the right of me or the left of me. We can make it smaller. Boom. Look at their schedule. Put it over this side. So they play UVA, which I think they can win. That's a neutral site game. They play Richmond. I think they'll win their game. Now, it's going to be tough to go to Nashville and get a win against Vandy, but I think they can do it. They play App State. Louisville's going to always be tough. Wake Forest is going to be tough. Stanford's a winnable game. Cal's a winnable game. I mean, Wake Forest and Louisville are winnable games too. Duke is a winnable game. Syracuse is a winnable game. Florida State's a winnable game. North Carolina's a winnable game. When I tell you, and like Moon said, the ACC blessed NC State. So when we start to look at these top 25 teams, don't just look at the last year results. Don't just look at the roster construction heading into this year. Look at the schedules. Because once you start to look at the schedules, damn, they don't play Miami, son. Damn. They don't got to play Miami, dog. You start looking at the other teams that they don't got to play Georgia Tech. Hold on. What? You start looking at their conference schedule, bro, and you say to yourself, man, hey, this team's going to be really good. So if there's a team I want you, the dark horse, to look out for NC State. They happen to have one of the best quarterbacks in the country in CJ Bailey. I'm telling you, this NC State team is going to win a lot of games. And I've been watching NC State over the years. They disappointed me a couple years. I think 2023 or 2024 is one of those they really disappointed me. But when I look at this NC State team, they don't play Miami, Georgia Tech, or SMU. That's crazy. That is crazy. When I look at this team, I look at that quarterback. Remember, when Georgia Tech had their first loss of the season, I don't remember if it was Pitt or NC State, but CJ Bailey put up numbers against a really good coach team, right? Look out for NC State. If there's a team, dark horse, you be like, yeah, y'all listen to me for anything else. Watch out for NC State because they have a very favorable schedule. All right, let's get this image out of here. So, I'm not mad at CBS Sports Top 25 overall. I'm not mad at it. It's cool, but I just think that there were places they could have done better, much better than USA Today. I will say that. And then we'll recap their top 25 because I know I went over a lot. My apologies. At 1, at Texas. At 2, Ohio State. 3, Oregon. 4, Georgia. 5, Notre Dame. 6, Indiana. 7, Miami. 8, Texas A&M. 9, LSU. 10, Oklahoma. 11, Texas Tech. 12, USC. 13, Ole Miss. 14, Alabama. 15, Michigan. 16, Tennessee. BYU at 17. Iowa at 18. Penn State at 19. Shouldn't be in the top 25. Missouri at 20. 21, Washington. 22, Clemson. 23, Florida. 24, Utah. And 25, SMU. All right, let's go to the comment section. We got CFB Moon. He says, ACC bless NC State. He said they don't play Miami, Georgia Tech, or SMU. Couldn't agree with more. We got to have a talk about CJ Bailey, though, Governor. Lamo, he out here scamming like he from my city. Hey, CJ Bailey a scammer, bro? I get it how you live in 2026, bro. we do need to have a conversation about Bruno, man, about CJ Bailey. But I think NC State's going to be very good this year. I mean, but he from the Gardens, ain't he? He from Miami Gardens, ain't he? From the 305. I mean, hey, man. From the 305, man. All right, let's get into our next segment, man. I'm super excited about this next segment. ESPN puts out this list every year. They do like under the radar players heading into 2020. Well, to whatever season it is. This year is 2026, and players to watch with some marquee teams. And they put it out at a great time. Like the draft just happened, everybody's getting over the excitement of the draft. We got this player, that player. All right, well, who are some of the pieces to watch next year that Ohio State, we all talk about Jeremiah Smith. We even talk about the kid Chris Henry Jr. Peyton Pierce has got they lost both recent styles, both top 7 draft picks off the same linebacker corpse. Pierce had 44 tackles as a reserve last season, number 5 inside linebacker recruit 2 years ago out of Texas. So ESPN is liking this guy, and of course, Chris Henry Jr. will be my pick as the guy you need to watch. I think he's going to fill in nicely when we start to figure out who's going to be number 2, number 3 wide receiver for Ohio State. Oregon running back Simeon Pierce transfers with stop at Mississippi State, Coastal Carolina, Colorado, veteran presence in a young backfield. They say he balances out the room alongside Jordan Davis and Year Hill Jr. And to me, this is going to be a huge year for Oregon, right? Dan Lanning somehow somewhere around 10 or 11 wins after the season, we have to give him his flowers, right? Because they lost a lot. Right. At Georgia, you always want to watch the Georgia tight end. We got Ethan Barber, broke his ankle in Game 2 of 2025. Kirby Smart praised his toughness and blocking ability and versatility before the injury. Georgia loaded that tight end with Lukey Riddell Williams, who's a 5-star freshman. Taylor, I think it's another guy you want to watch at Georgia. Who's going to emerge as wide receiver number 1? We know Mike Bobo runs a very vanilla offense. That's by design. They're going to run the rock with Nate Frazier, and they're going to throw a lot of tunnel screens, bubble screens, just figure out the way to get the wide receivers the ball quickly. But I think he's a great coordinator when they're down and when they need to put points on the board, because that's when you see him like, he's legit. For Notre Dame safety, Bronte Johnson. I played in 10 games last year. He started 48 tackles, 4 interceptions. He blocked a punt, returned for a TD. So this kid is legit. This is the player that ESPN is saying watch for Notre Dame heading into the season. Aeneas Williams is another guy to watch. Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love both were drafted in the first round of the NFL draft in an era that the running back is devalued. Just think about that. Really analyze that and let that sink in. They were both drafted in the era where the running back position is devalued, right? And they were both drafted in the first round. That's amazing to me. It will always be amazing to me. Number 5, Texas, linebacker Rasheem Biles, Pitt transfer, had 101 tackles a season ago. You have to love what Texas is doing. You really do. Indiana, defensive tackle Mario Landino, 5 sacks last season, 2 fumble recoveries. Yeah, you gotta love what he's doing. Miami lost both their starting defensive ends and Ruben Bain and Akeem Messidor. I don't know why I was just drawing a blank there. You rock with Tay Johnson? Yes, sir. So yes, Miami. in college football, you have to be able to replace production. Because if you're doing your job, you're sending kids to the NFL, right? If you're doing your job, you're sending kids to the NFL. So excited for that. Texas Tech, wide receiver Kenny Johnson, and another player to watch is Will Hammond, right? Who's going to be the starting quarterback for Texas Tech heading into the year? It'll be interesting to see how long he's out for if he is suspended. Ole Miss wide receiver Caleb Cunningham flipped from Alabama to Ole Miss late in November 2024, 6'3", 190 pounds. Lost Wallace, lost Stribling. Landon Barnes is another kid to watch as well. Texas A&M, Ruben Owens. I've been waiting for Ruben Owens to turn up. I think he's 100% healthy. You've seen him coming on late down the stretch last season for Texas A&M. For a defensive-minded coach, oh, yeah, you want a running back that can run a rock. So, yeah, Ruben Owens, I think, is certainly a guy that you want to watch for Texas A&M heading into next season. LSU, Ty Benefield is an under-the-radar guy to watch. And if you didn't pay attention to Big 12 football, J.C. Brown, however you say his name, what he's been doing to these LSU corners, and this is probably why Lane Kiffin wants a spring portal. What he's been doing to these corners, to me, separation in college football is 1.5 yards. 3 yards of separation, right? NFL is even less. You got about 1 yard of separation. That's a lot of separation. But Jace Brown been killing these corners during the spring. I was watching a one-on-one video about a week ago, and yeah, he's been doing his thing. BYU, tight end Walker Lyons. He's a USC transfer, had 20 catches a season ago. And the best for full quarterback can always be a tight end that you can get the ball to on third down. So, yes, I love that ESPN had him on there. Oklahoma, defensive end Taylor Wynn. Of course, they lost production at defensive end. If you are going to work hard and there's a defense you want to play for and a coordinator you want to play with, even though he's a head coach, Brent Venables is that guy, right? Had a bunch of tackle for losses last year, a bunch of sacks, and think about who's on the other side of him. So I would love to see what Oklahoma does offensively this year, but the player to watch for me will be on the offensive side of the ball. I can't wait to see what Satania does this year for Oklahoma. It seems like Rob Moore's been playing for a very long time, but you guys should already know him by now. Wide receiver for Penn State, Kobe Howard, is the under-the-radar player that ESPN has on their list. A true sophomore, played in 9 games as a freshman, 4 starts, 7 catches, 133 yards, average just shy under 20 yards per catch. So he has big catch ability. Alabama linebacker Caleb Woodson, Virginia Tech transfer, 3 seasons under Brent Pry. If you know Brent Pry, didn't work out as head coach. He's a damn good coordinator. The fact he's over there at Alabama now, and that 4-2-5 swarm that they run, I'm excited to see it. Washington, running back Jordan Washington. Think about it. Jonah Coleman's gone, right? He was second at 100-meter dash at the California State track meet. Personal best is 10.3. Averaged 8.6 yards per carry on 27 attempts last year. If there's a system, Jed Fish and what they do there, they've always had the ability to run the ball. Jonah Coleman actually followed what Jed Fish did from Arizona, so should get plenty of opportunities. Utah had an interesting one. They actually mentioned the backup to Devin Dapier, which I thought was interesting. Iowa cornerback Deshaun Lee. If there's a player you want to watch on Iowa, just look at the defense. Phil Parker, year in and year out, puts players into the NFL. And you're like, well, who's going to replace this person? Phil Parker, as long as you're a defensive coordinator, you're going to be all right. And if there's a position you want to watch, well, yeah, watch that secondary linebacker core for Iowa. You'll be all right. USC wide receiver Tanuk Hines, been hearing his name all offseason. All offseason been hearing his names. I'm excited for what this USC team can do this year. Louisville, Thailand, Jaleel Skinner. Also, Lincoln Kineholz, bro, at quarterback. Yes, Julian Sand won the job last year, and I know many people don't believe that it was close, but I believe it was closer than everybody thought between Lincoln Kineholz and Julian Sand. I thought he actually outplayed Julian Sand in last year's spring game, but of course they went with Julian Sand. Ended up making the right decision, of course, but watch out for Lincoln Kineholz in this Louisville system. SMU safety Tyron Poley Jr., a 3-star recruit who forced his way into the field as a true freshman, 2 interceptions at Boston College. And Louisville, 6 tackles in bowl game over Arizona, allowed just 45 yards as a primary defender in 2025. That's interesting, so watch out for him. TCU wide receiver Jordan Dwyer. We've talked about him and covered him on CFB Nation quite a lot. 5th-year senior, second in target, receptions, yards, and TDs for TCU last year. Houston cornerback Jalen Mayo. Also, Mekhi Hughes is the name you want to watch When I tell you that chip that he's going to have on the shoulder is going to be tremendous. Tennessee running back, Javin Gordon, and whoever's their starting quarterback. But that is ESPN's top 25 under-the-radar players to watch. Another fun episodes in the book. I'm getting really good with this timing, man. I try to make sure I get it right at an hour. There was a time period where I couldn't get at an hour. I promise you. It was always like an hour 15, hour 11. I'm trying to really schedule it to where I'm right at that hour. Shout out to everybody who came and commented in the chat. Shout out to my boy CFB Moon. Shout out to Postgame. Postgame is here for every episode. Shout out to him. And Moon watches every episode as well. He be busy sometimes at 6, but he's always watching. Shout out to Al, who said he just came in here to laugh. Archer still, whatever. I don't even think he ended up even listening to. Don't be that fan, right, to where you don't like a player or you think something is a wild take, but not listen to the take. Trust me. There's people who takes I don't agree with, but I know there's thought behind it, and I know they're doing the work. If somebody's doing the work, don't do that, right? So shout out to everybody who came in here, who watched it. My name is Lever KT. I go as a governor of college football. As I always like to say, there are no more victories in the sport that survive in advance. While college football has the greatest regular season. Until next time, you all take care. We will see y'all Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hey, man, much respect. No intro today or outro today because I didn't have the file in here. I had to